everyone, welcome to episode 55 of the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. And today it is a kind of strange day because I am filming in the morning. It is like 8:30 right now. It is Friday, December 22nd as I'm filming this. It is one day earlier than I usually film, and yeah, there's just things are happening over the weekend, and so I figured I would just film a little bit this morning. So I hope you're all having a great day, and yeah, today's video will be slightly different than my normal podcast videos. I will be doing my normal content where I talk about finished objects and works in progress and my spinning updates. And then at the end of the video, I will be talking about a little bit of a review on 2023 and all of the good yarn and knitting things that happened this year. And as a reminder, this review is not my everything I've knit kind of video. That will be its own separate video that I will film in the beginning part of January, but I thought that it would be fun to just have a little section on my normal podcast videos where I just talk about in general, like not too many specifics on what I've made and how I feel about it, but just like kind of like a summary on this year, which I think would be really fun. 2023 is the first full calendar year that I have done the knitting podcast, and so I think it'll be really interesting because everything that I have made this year I have shown on the podcast. So that will be today's video format, and I hope you all like it. So let's get started though with how I normally start these videos. What I am wearing. It is also a finished object, which I am so excited about. This is my pressed flowers cardigan. It is a pattern by Christoffers, and I just love it so much. So details first before I stand up and show you what it looks like. The main color I used for this is the Rerum Natura Ulysse in the colorway Foret, which is a dark green color. And my contrast color for this was my own hand spun of a Superfine Merino wool from Nest Fiber in the colorway Paper Kites. And I knit size 1. I used US 3 needles for the ribbing and US 5 needles for the rest of the body. And I ended up getting about 38 inches in circumference with the cardigan closed, and that gives me about 8 inches of positive ease, which I think is a really good positive ease that I like for cardigans, because usually cardigans you wear over stuff, and I think that seems to be like a really good fit, and I like how it fits right now, so that must mean I like that 8 inches of positive ease. So I will stand up. And as far as the positive ease, this would be, like, I am wearing kind of a baggy t-shirt, and so it might kind of like make it look a little tighter, but I like wearing cardigans over kind of baggy t-shirts kind of situation, and so with that amount of positive ease, I think it helps to make sure it doesn't feel tight anywhere. But anyway, I will stand up now so you can see. Ta-da! Here it is. All the different colors. I need to just like stick out my arms so that you can see all the colors. I will turn around and hopefully you can see the back now too. Here it is. Okay, and then is it interesting to see what it looks like on the wrong side? That's what it looks like. And okay, I am calling this a finished object, but I did not sew on buttons yet. But there will be, I made 6 buttonholes here. There's no buttons yet. I'm still debating on buttons. It might take me a while, but I'm calling it a finished object because I am going to wear it just as is. So I also finished blocking it. This grew, I don't want to say like grew a lot, but it definitely like relaxed the stitches after blocking, and I love it so much. I think, wow, the fit on this is really great. I think even, so before blocking, I did try it on, and I was just like really hoping that blocking would help just like relax everything, which I know it usually does, but yeah, I love this piece a lot more after blocking. And yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was last week with this. I feel like for some reason my memory is failing me, but maybe it's because it's early in the morning when I usually film in the afternoon on a weekend. So anyway, I love this cardigan. I'm very happy that I finished it before the end of the year and that I get to wear it. I love how it feels. I really like the Rerum Natura yarn, and because it feels sturdy but not itchy to me. It definitely feels woolly, so I think if you have very sensitive skin, that maybe it might not be the best yarn, but I would say I'm generally kind of, like, I can't do mohair. I am a little sensitive to certain kinds of yarn, but I do like how this feels. I think though part of it is because my contrast color for this is a super fine merino. It is very soft, and if you look on the inside again, like a lot of like the colorful parts are showing, and so I think that blended with my main color kind of helps soften it up a bit. Yeah, I am just overall like impressions on this, or like my thoughts on this. The pattern was really fun to make. I eventually got a hang of the stitch pattern and understood what it was, and so I didn't have to look at the stitch like chart after I kind of worked for a few rows on the body. This is worked bottom up, and there is shoulder shaping, as you can maybe see here, right here, and then maybe on this side too you can see. It's kind of cool because you can see the back and the front, the colors are very different. And what else? Oh, I'm pretty sure that I knit this all to pattern. There were actually, I want to say, a couple sections in the pattern that I was slightly confused by the instructions, but it all kind of worked out in the end. And I would say maybe the only parts that I were slightly confused by were the front section once you split 4 sleeves, the decreases for the neckline. I was not very confident about when to not put a flower in, and I think I mentioned in an earlier video that I was like, oh, it kind of seems like super empty here and I wish I just did a partial flower, but I am glad I didn't. And I think a couple of you also commented saying that you didn't, or that you had to rip back, or you did do a partial flower and you didn't like it and you ripped back to remove it. And so I am actually very happy with the outcome of that. And then some of the shoulder shaping, like the shaping itself was fine, but I didn't really know when to start, because you want to finish, you don't want to start the shoulder shaping, I think, in the middle of a flower pattern, but you also need to meet measurements for your sleeve height, or like, yeah, just like where the sleeve will be. And so I think I ended up actually knitting 1/2 inch longer for the sleeve opening than the pattern states for my size, just because that's how the flower pattern ended up. I didn't want to have this much of just plain stitch. And then the only thing, or what I did, and it worked out fine, was I did pick up the right amount of stitches for my size. So it all worked out. It doesn't look like the sizing of that was anything weird. The stitch pattern was a lot easier to work flat on the body than it was for the sleeves, which are done in the round. And I don't know if that's because I started with the body and I learned the pattern that way versus in the round, but it didn't take me too long to get used to it in the round either. There are only like decreases for my size at least done until like here, and the rest is worked straight. There is a 1x1 rib for the sleeve cuff. You do some decreases before you do the sleeve cuff. And the pattern just says to do a normal like 1x1 rib bind off, and that is what I did for the sleeves, and I really like it. I think I do bind off. I am very aware with my bind offs when I do a normal bind off, because I don't want it to be too tight, but I also don't want it to be too loose. So I am kind of always like adjusting while I'm doing the bind off, but I think that they turned out really well. They're still very easily, like I can roll them up, which I like to do, especially if I'm like washing the dishes or washing my hands or something like that. So very happy with the result of the sleeves. For the button band, it is also a 1x1 rib, so you pick up all the way around 1x1 rib, and you also bind off in 1x1 rib. And I was considering doing a tubular bind off because I do like how that finishes, but I actually think in some cases a normal bind off is really nice and clean looking, and for this one I really like how that looks. So yeah, I think beside like those were, I generally followed the pattern to pattern, and I'm just very happy with the outcome. Part of the reason why I love this cardigan is because of my handspun. I am just blown away by the color changes in it. I'm going to stand up again so you can see it. I just love all the color changes. I'm very happy with the color I chose to do for this cardigan, and it's just so pretty. And because it's super fine merino, which I think I've mentioned so many times already, like whenever I touch, like the flowers just feel so soft and fluffy. So yeah, overall just like really happy with this pattern. I've been wanting to make a pressed flowers something for a very long time, and so the knit along the reason why I decided to cast this on this year was because of the I Can Buy Myself Flowers knit along, and very happy that I did it, very happy that I'm finished with the cardigan, and I do want to still make the pressed flowers shawl, and so I don't know when I'll cast that on, but very happy with this finished object. So that is what I'm wearing and one of my finished objects this week. And I do have one more finished object that I want to talk about, and that is my Turtle Dove Shawl by Sari Nordlund. It is finished. Sorry. This is a mystery knit along by Sari Nordlund, and there were 4 clues that came out for this. Like each clue was released on Wednesdays every week for 4 weeks, and so this past Wednesday was the final clue to finish, and yeah, I just like finished it, I think, on the day it came out, and I really like the result. I did block it, so it is now blocked. I love how it feels and how it drapes. The yarn I used for this is Woolberry Fiber Co. Both of the yarn. One is Berry Sport in the colorway Creamsicle, it was a variegated. It's hard to see like now because I knit it using 2 yarns, but Creamsicle, it was a white creamy base with some orangey, peachy, and more pinky sections, and then I held it with Berry Suri in the colorway Coral, which is a really light coral, a pink coral Suri, and I think it came out really nice, and I love how it looks. This is a 1 size shawl, and I knit it using the recommended needle size, which was a US 4 needle. And yeah, it is worked from the tip here up. You increase and then you decrease all the way to the other tip. And I really like the stitch pattern for this. So there's cables, there's like this traveling or zigzag cable. I really like this section, I think the most, the zigzaggy cable with the baubles. The baubles were really easy to make for this. There wasn't too many like turning around to knit the bauble, and so I actually didn't find them horrible to knit. It was kind of fun to knit the baubles for this. More cables, and yeah, I think it's just really cute, and it was just so fun to knit. So I will try to, I think that mine ended up slightly larger possibly than the pattern, because I did use a sport weight plus a lace weight, which was the Suri. The pattern calls for, excuse me, the pattern calls for a fingering weight plus a lace weight, and so I do think that it's just like slightly bigger, but I did not run out of yarn. I did have 2 full skeins of each of these, and I did not run out. So, but it used a good amount of it, and so I feel very good that I used the yarn in stash to make this. So this is probably how I would wear it out. Just kind of like a scarf. And because it's Suri, it just feels so soft against my neck. And yeah, I really like it. I guess because it's pretty big, as long as I would if I could wear it just like this, but I would worry that it would slip off accidentally. Like if you keep moving, it might just slide off. But it's very cute like this as well. Just to have it hanging. Oh, it's so cute. So yeah, so that is my second finished object this week. I can't believe that I'm still finishing my knitting projects before the end of the year, but I'm very happy because I will not be able to clear all my needles before the end of the year, but I would like to get kind of close because there's so many exciting things that I want to cast on for next year. But yeah, so those are my 2 finished objects. And really quickly, I'm just going to take a quick coffee break. Okay, next up, my works in progress. I only have 2 to talk about today because I did spend most of this week finishing my Pressed Flowers cardigan and the Turtle Dove shawl. So these will just be quick updates, I believe, which will leave us more time to talk about my year in review. Okay, so progress update on my Mackenzie Shawl by Sari Nordlund. I've been knitting so much of her patterns. I just love Sari Nordlund patterns. Okay, here it is. Here is my stitch marker. If you've watched my previous videos for like the past couple months, I think at this point you'll know the drill on this Mackenzie shawl. My stitch marker's here. That's how much I worked from last week. And we're still on this 3rd diagonal stripe. There will be 4 total in this shawl, and so I am well into the halfway point, but it's just a long project. The yarn I'm using for this is Olivia and Oliver Fibers, Classic Sock Base in the colorways Feather, which is this white, and Woodland, which is this brown, variegated. They're both speckly, and I just really like these colors together. I think they work out really well in a 2-color brioche. Let me just show it to you here. I will have to now show it to you sideways. Yeah, this is one side, the light side, and this is the dark side. I do think you can see the diagonal stripe better on the light side, and so I definitely like this side better. But both sides are great. And it's getting long. I'm excited to start wearing it as a shawl, hopefully, or as a scarf. And we're just making slow progress, but progress. And yeah, I have no plans on finishing it this year. So yeah, this will definitely be a next year finished object. But yeah, so this is a 1-size shawl, and I am using US 4 needles to make this. So that's my kind of quick progress update on this. And then, where do I put this? I'm going to put this down here. Okay, and then I only have one more thing to talk about. Another progress update on a project that I keep picking up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. But I'm determined to finish this. Again, this will not be a this year finished item, but it will be a next year. We're hoping for January. So this is, where's the top? Here it is. This is my Superlative Sweater by Samantha Garen. This is a Boucle sweater. I'm using Explorer Knits Boucle DK in the colorway Oxide. I am knitting size 2 and I'm using US 4 needles to make this. And okay, I was at the body last time, right here, and so this week I've worked a few more inches and we're getting really close to finishing the body. I think I just want to add a couple more inches, and then after that I have one more sleeve to finish, and then I just have the edgings. So I do have my left sleeve mostly finished. I just have to do the cuff here. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with the cuff, so that's why they're just like hanging out over here. So I'll probably do the same for the second sleeve. I still need to do the neck band, but yeah, we are getting close and I cannot wait to have this one done because I know that it'll be one of the coziest things I have, because Boucle, I have one other Boucle sweater I knit last year, or was it earlier this year? Might have been earlier this year, and I love it, and so I cannot wait to have more Boucle sweaters in my closet. So yeah, we're just making progress, feeling good. Boucle, I feel like knits up. It feels, I think I knit slower, but it deceivingly knits up quickly. I don't know if that makes sense or if anyone else feels the same way, but I do think knitting each stitch is slower. But sometimes when I look back at my progress, I'm like, oh, I knit that many rows already? Like, it's kind of nice. Or like, no, yeah, I have no idea, because I think the gauge is a little different than normal yarn too. I think the rows are shorter, which then would make it seem like you have to knit more to get more progress. I don't know, but if it feels like it knits faster for me, then that's a plus for me, I guess. Okay, so that's it for the knitting. So short today, but I do have spinning, finished object, and acquisitions. So let me quickly show you my spinning finished object. I know I said I was going to finish it this week. I said that in my last video, and I did. I finished plying, and what was I trying to say? Actually, I finished the yarn, but like finish as in like I soaked it. I did the thing where you like, I don't thwack it like on the ground, but I do kind of like do the thing where you, I don't know, that motion. Had it dry, and so it is now washed. I washed it. I finished plying and I washed my yarn. So I will hold it up now. Here it is. So this is the Yarn Addict Co. BFL silk fiber in the colorway Autumn in the City. And I think it's the perfect, definitely has autumn vibes, but also has holiday vibes because of the red and green. And I thought it was the perfect spinning finished object to end the year with. This is my last spin of the year. I don't want to have anything on my wheel going into the new year. I want to like start a new project at the very beginning of the year, and so this is my last spin of the year and I'm very happy with it. This is again my first time spinning with a fiber that has silk in it, and so it took me some time to get used to it, but I think I eventually got the hang of it. I didn't take any like wraps per inch measurements on my yarn. I probably should be doing this now. Right now I'm just eyeballing what it looks like and just like taking note of what the yardage is. So, oh, and the other thing is I'm very lazy, and so I will take yardage of my yarn before washing, but after washing it does shrink, and I've been taking notes of that, but I haven't been sharing them with you all. I think partly because I figured it maybe doesn't matter, maybe no one cares, but I think next year I will probably try and give a little more like stats, maybe like on the yarn that I spin, if that's interesting. And maybe if it's not, then it shouldn't take up that much more of the video, I think. But yeah, so I spun this. I did a fractal spin in the way that I've been doing it for a lot of my recent spins, which I split the fiber in half. Oh, this is a 2-ply. So I split the fiber in half lengthwise. I spin one half like end to end, and the other half I split into 4 more sections to get the shorter color repeats. And I'm very excited to see how this knits up. This color fiber had, I think, like longer color sections than some of the other colored fiber that I have. I think because there were just less colors in general. Like this is mostly just red and green, which is 2 colors, versus the other fiber, like the one that I spun for my Pressed Flowers cardigan had like 5 different colors with some blending in between them. So I do think that the color lengths in this are just slightly longer, and so I'm very curious to see how this works knitted up. I have no idea what I'm going to knit with this yet, but if you have ideas, let me know. Because there's silk in it, yeah, I don't know what I want to knit with it. Would socks work out well? And then what I've been doing lately for my fractal spins as well is just when I'm plying, I have my 2 bobbins, like my 2 halves, and I will ply them all together, and then when one side runs out, I stop. And then with my leftovers from one of the other bobbins, I would just ply that together. And because I don't want that mixing with like how my color layout was for the fractal spin with like my bigger skein, I just do a 2-ply with my leftovers and just have like a mini skein pretty much of the yarn. And so that's what this is. That's why there's like 2 separate ones. I think that this looks like a fingering weight yarn that I made. It looks quite thin in some areas, so I do think, like compared to my other spins, so I do think this is like probably a fingering weight. And I think I might have gotten around 500 yards of it, but this is before washing. I don't know what it is after washing because I'm too lazy. What I've been doing after washing is when I wind up my yarn to use for a project is when I count the yardage. I'm not good. I don't unwind this and then count it right after I wash it. So, or after it dries. But this just gives me an idea of what I have. But yeah, so that is my finished spin and my last spin of the year. Okay, next up, acquisitions. I have one acquisition I got in the mail yesterday, 2 days ago. No, I think it was yesterday. My Paisley Knits winter box. It came so quickly, like in the other boxes were kind of, spaced in between, but I feel like I just got my autumn box and now I got my winter box, but I'm very happy it came in before the end of the year, and I really like it. It feels very wintry. So let me show you the yarn because that's what I think we all want to see. So in no particular order, actually let me just show you all together because they're definitely wintry vibes. Ooh, yeah, here are the colors. So for these boxes, the seasons boxes this year from Paisley Knits, I got the sock sets because I figured I want all the colors, but I can't get full skeins of all like 8 colors each season, and so I figured sock sets, I get 1 full skein of the variegated and a mini skein of the tonal. But here they are, and I will show them all to you now individually. Okay, so here's this really cute purple. This is Svalbard. I'm definitely probably saying that wrong. I really like this purple, and I definitely love that there's like slight pinky or very like light purpley lavender bits in there, and then Polar Twilight. I believe that the names on this are the variegated and the tonal, and so that's how I'm reading it, but if it's the other way around, I apologize. Yeah, so this is a really cute purple set, and then there's this one, Winter Walks, which is a light gray blue variegated, and then Frozen Lake, which is just like a dark kind of like navy blue color. those look really cute together. And then I have this one, this green, which I've been really liking green lately, as you can tell with my current cardigan. This is Snowy Forest and Fraser Fir. So those are really cute greens. And then this one, I think, is my favorite of this month. This one is Aurora Borealis, which I totally can see it. Can you see it? Oops. Yeah, let me just pull that out. Okay. Aurora Borealis and snow. And I think that that's just so pretty. I'm definitely like a yarn color plus name of colors. Like, they match really well. It just like, ooh, it just gets me so excited. But yeah, so that is really pretty. And they all look so wintry together. I love all the sock sets that I got this year as part of like the seasons box from Paisley Knits, and I haven't knit anything with them yet. Part of me just was like, I think it's like a collection wise, I just wanted to see them all together. So now that I have all 4 of them, I can see them all together now and start planning for what I want to knit with all of them. So that is the sock sets, and I just realized the one thing that I left in my room, and I just, I just forgot it in the room, so I don't have to share. But the boxes came with a art print, like a picture, and this one was just a really nice snowy outdoor scene, and it was really pretty. Apologies for not being able to show it to you here. But that was also part of the box. Another part of the box is 2 boxes of tea. So I haven't tried any of these, but they look so festive, which is really cute. I don't know if it'll focus, but this one is a black tea. It says, "This blizzard of flavorful almond and coconut is a festive marzipan treat." So that I'm excited to try. It says snowflake, and then this one says first frost, peppermint and vanilla. It's also a black tea that'll probably have a nice peppermint taste to it. So yeah, excited to try these. Very seasonal, and so I like getting into the winter season. I think I like winter the most. Is that true? I do like winter. Yeah. So these make me feel very, very festive. And then there's also a candle in each of these boxes, and I have loved every single one of these candles. They smell amazing, and they all, yeah, they just smell so good. And so this one also smells good. So this one here is, I feel like I say this every time I talk about these boxes. I think Homecoming is the name of like the candle brand, and this scent is called First Snow and Evergreen. And it says Fraser Fir. Oh, that's so funny because that was the name of one of the mini skeins, I think. Lemon peel, cypress, and cedarwood. Yeah, it just smells. I think it smells as you would probably guess it would smell. Just like a wintry outdoors. Minty kind of. Maybe not minty, but just that kind of feeling. Yeah. So I've loved all the candles, and yeah, this box is great. Very happy to have it before the end of the year. And yeah, that is it for my acquisitions. So, okay, this next part I am like kind of nervous about because I haven't done this before, and so I'm hoping there aren't like important things that I forgot to write down to talk about notes-wise, but this will be, I should have said this in the beginning of the video too, but this podcast will be the last episode of this year. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the next couple of weeks, and I will be quite busy, to be honest, on the weekends and throughout the week too. So I want to just like kind of chill out and just like enjoy the holiday season. So no videos for me or from me for the next 2 weeks, but just know I will miss you all, and I will see you all in the next year. But I don't want that to sound like a sign off, but because this is the last episode of 2023, I wanted to do a really quick, I say really quick, it might not be that quick, but just like a kind of year in review that is not, again, different from everything I've made and talk about it, but just everything else that happened knitting wise and, crafty wise in 2023, and just do a summary and see how this year just went overall. So I have some questions and just some topics that I want to talk about and touch on to kind of, just review this year. And they are not in any kind of order just because I couldn't think of an order. So we will just see how this goes this year. I want to just, in general, summarize this year as being one of my favorite years definitely in knitting, but just like in life too, which is a really, really happy year for me. I think the best parts of this year were really like meeting and getting to hang out with my knitting friends. And I think this was the first year that I really got to start going to knit nights and getting to know them better. And wow, I feel really like lucky and happy to have found such great knitting friends that I could see about every week. So that was like my biggest, I think, one of my biggest takeaways from this year knitting wise is actually just having some knitting friends, because that's great. Very happy about it. And on that topic too, like having our knitting weekend away, which was a few months ago, it was just so fun. So fun to be with knitting friends and meeting more knitting friends. This year was also a year where I learned how to spin, which was crazy. I can't believe that it has not been, like I started learning, I feel like I've been saying a few months ago, and now at this point it might have been like 4 or 5 months ago. About there, I think. But it's just crazy. I did not think I was going to learn how to spin this year. If you were to ask me at the beginning of 2023, like, when do you think you would learn how to spin? I'd probably be like, I'd like to learn, but I don't think it'd be this year. And so the fact that it was this year, and I love it, and I've just been spinning so much, is just like, again, just makes me really happy. And I'm just so happy that that opportunity happened for me this year. And I also got to dye a lot more yarn and fiber this year. I've tried dyeing yarn maybe like 2 years ago and sometime a little bit last year also, but this year I really was like, all right, we're going to dye more yarn and try dyeing fiber now that I know how to spin. And so that was also really fun. And I also want to talk about, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this on one of my podcasts, but I also like watching other people's knitting podcasts, and so I just want to mention some people that I've been loving to watch recently, but also like just this year in general. I tend to have favorites that I just watch all the time, and I don't usually there's a list of people that I want to watch, and I know a lot of people like their podcast, but it kind of takes me some extra, like, I really need to be in a certain, I think, mindset to be like, okay, I want to watch someone else's podcast or like someone new to me, just because I think I like comfort. So I like watching things I know that I will like, and so watching new ones for me kind of just takes an extra effort, which I think is fine, but it definitely takes me some time to get used to someone else's podcast, even if I love it, or you know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, there is a list now of podcasters that I've been really liking to watch. Some of them are a lot more recent, and so I have not watched like all of their videos, but there are recent watches that I liked. So anyway, this will also be in not really a particular order, but favorite knitting podcast for this year is we'll just start. Gently Chaotic Knits by Emily Curtis. She is a friend, and also met her while she lived here in Seattle, and she is now off and adventuring the world. So we miss her so much, but I'm so glad that I got to get to knit with her and meet her and have knit nights with her before she moved away to adventure the world. But I have been, even before I met her, I have loved watching Emily's knitting podcast. She is one that I watched every single video of hers. So, and I think she was one of the first knitting podcasts I have ever watched. So I have watched from literally everything she's put out. I have watched, and anyway, her format of knitting podcasts are, to me, feel very comforting, and I really like it. I think that her name, like Gently Chaotic Knits, is so fitting, and yeah, I just love all the vibes that come from her podcast. She has great knitting projects and really good color, like her color. She has a very like a favorite color palette, and it's just like really cool to see finished objects in her color palette. So, and she's a great friend. So maybe I sound biased, but I also loved watching her podcast before I met her too. So, but anyway, so that is one of my favorite podcasts to watch this year. Another one is another great friend, Megan, and her podcast is A Naughty Mess. Oh, also everything I mentioned, or all of the podcasters I mentioned, I will tag in the description down below, so you can easily click and find them too if you don't already follow or watch their videos. But yes, Megan, A Naughty Mess, she started her podcast this year, and it was so fun to watch. Because she started this year, I watched from episode 1. I've watched all of her videos every week, and she is a crazy knitter. She knits so much. I love the energy that she has, and she has a fantastic yarn wall behind her. It is amazing, and so many great color choices, so many good like patterns, like a wide range of patterns and designers that she tests for, that she samples for, that she knits for herself, knits for others, and also great energy. Like my favorite thing about podcasts are ones that just feel like they're sitting down and talking to you like a friend. Like that is like my favorite kind of podcast, and that is definitely what I get from these. Again, I probably sound biased because she is a friend, but I love her podcast. So yes, Megan, A Naughty Mess, is another one I've been watching always. And yes, okay, we have a couple more friend podcasts. Shreya from Stitched by Shreya. I think she also started her podcast this year, so I've watched every single one of the videos that she has out. She is such a natural in front of the camera. When she had her first episode, I was like, has she done this before? So cool, so calm, great. Again, just like great knitting patterns, like all ones that I want to knit as well. I love her color choices. I think we do have a pretty similar color palette. Like I think she does like pinks. Like she's definitely had like good pink yarn projects, and I'm like, yes, I want that too. I also want that. So yeah, amazing. And just, yeah, it's just good vibes. I like podcasts that just have a good, calm, and even if it's slightly like, chaotic, like, the Gently Chaotic from Emily, like anyway, it's my favorite vibe to have on while I'm knitting and watching a podcast. So yeah, Stitched by Shreya, love her podcast. She just had a baby, so I think she might not be posting as often as before, but whenever she does post, I'm like, immediate watch. Have to watch it right now. But yeah, Shreya. Okay, next is Sharon from Rui Knits, and I also love her podcast. I'm sharing this because I love all their podcasts. So yes, I love their podcast. She also has great vibes. Love it. She has a crazy wall of yarn behind her as well, and it's all like unspun yarn, which I've never really gotten into the hype of the unspun yarn, but I definitely know that if I want pattern recommendations, yarn recommendations for unspun yarn, I know that she is the one to go to. She finishes a lot of projects. She also does a lot of test knits, and I do love all of like the patterns that she makes, and so I definitely go to her or like, watch her videos, look at her Instagram on what things she's made in the past to get some ideas for things that maybe I haven't thought about before. And also color recommendations, or yeah, by looking at her previous knits. So Sharon, Rui Knits, and I have been watching Marlene Knits. She is also great vibes. I met Marlene at Flock this year, and I think at that point I've watched a couple of her videos, but I just haven't had the time to watch some of her other ones. But after I met her in person, I was like, okay, I really want to watch the rest of her videos. She is such a lovely person, so friendly and so kind, and her podcasts are definitely like a lot more production value than mine. She has like a really cool intro and with music and very aesthetic. I really like her aesthetic, and her color palette is very, very neutral, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a really great, if I'm like looking for something neutral or just want to get ideas, I always look at like her Instagram and what she's making. And I feel like we also have very similar like kinds of patterns that we like to make, and so I definitely look at her Instagram also for some ideas for color ideas and pattern ideas. And for example, I really like her, oh my gosh, what's it called? It's the pillow pattern by Penrose Nits, Laura, Penrose Nits. I really like the color palette for that, and even though I probably won't get a similar color palette, like I'm definitely using it as I have plans to make this pillow next year, and so definitely hers was like, I want to make one after I saw hers. And we were also in I think it was a couple of test knits together lately too, and so seeing her version of things that I've also knit is like really awesome because I just love her yarn and color choices too. So Marlene Knits is also a great one that I've been watching. And let's see, some other ones. Okay, Young Folk Knits. She's a very, very popular podcaster, and I have watched her a little bit in the past. But I think what happened was when I started spinning, I was looking for some more knitting podcasters that also spin and would talk about their spinning, and so I was like, I know that Casey from Young Folk Knits spins, and so that's when I really started getting into watching her videos more. I mean, they are great videos, and also her color choices are just fantastic. I wish I had a really good like eye for color and like putting things together. I think lately I've really liked the color choices I've made for myself too, but yeah, so much inspiration, and her spinning inspires me to spin too. So yes, Casey from Young Folk Knits. I have also been watching off and on Hannah G Knits, and I say off and on because she does post I think different kinds of videos like every week, like a normal kind of what she made, and then like I've noticed she's been doing some kind of like top something patterns or patterns she wants to knit to become like a shawl knitter and a sock knitter or something. And so I have been watching hers and enjoying her videos as well, and they've been giving me a lot of inspiration and ideas for patterns and yarn color combinations as well. And she has a really calm vibe, and I think it just like calms me. I know that if I want something to just be like a really like a nice calm video, that hers will be great. And yeah, so Hannah G Knits, and last but not least, and I'm hoping I didn't forget anyone very important, but I was just like out of memory and my recent YouTube history. Here's the list. So anyway, someone I have been watching recently, like within the past 2 weeks, is Amy from Knee Knits, and she's also quite a popular podcaster, and I just like haven't watched her videos until recently, and I like her podcast. I think we also have a very similar like pattern and yarn taste, and so I definitely, there's a lot of things that she's knit that I've seen recently that I'm like, oh, I want to knit that too. I think she just finished a shawl by Andrea Mowry, and she used like a Sorella red, like a Taylor Swift yarn, I think, and it looks so good. And I've seen this pattern, the shawl pattern before, and I wanted to make it, and now that I see hers and it's finished, I'm like, I also want to make it. So I've been looking in my stash for what to make so that I could also have this shawl. I think we also both have the rabbit rump colorway from Woolberry, and so yeah, it'll just be fun. We're like making completely different things, or well, I think she's making a sweater and I'm making a cardigan with it, but like just to see the two different colorways, or the same colorway in different patterns, will be really cool to see. So I haven't caught up with all of her videos yet. I've been just watching the recent ones as they come out, but I've really been enjoying that one. So yeah, so that is, I hope I didn't miss anyone. But yeah, I did want to mention some of the podcasts that I've been really liking to watch this year as well. So that's my list. Next, I do have some like awesome questions that are kind of like year reviewing type of questions. And so yeah, I'll try and answer that as well. These were kind of hard to answer, if I'm going to be honest, and you'll see why once I say some of these questions. So one question is, which are your most worn pieces and which don't get much wear and why? So I feel like I was looking through the list of things that I made this year, and I don't think that I could really pinpoint like which ones I wear the most, because I think that there is a group of things that I like to wear. So I'll just say the group of things I really like, or the most worn things that I wear. Sweaters and socks. I think that it is partly because, so pretty much every day I will wear a knitted thing, and it usually just ends up being a sweater because it's cold. And socks. I love wearing my hand knit socks because my feet always get cold when it's cold, and it's like mostly cold here most of the year. So I would say most worn knitted things are sweaters and socks. My least worn are the opposite of that. So short sleeve things, especially tank tops. And I think especially ones where like it doesn't matter if like a bra strap is showing if I'm wearing a tank top, because I'm just at home, like it doesn't matter. But like things that the straps are like closer to the neck, so the bra straps are just kind of like out, or just like not really well hidden, or if it's like a racer back knitted top and you can see the straps, I tend to not wear those because I don't know, like again, it doesn't matter because I'm at home, like it doesn't matter, but I don't know, I just don't tend to wear them often. But it could also be just because it's sweater weather and I want to wear all the sweaters while it's cold, and so I just don't really gravitate towards wearing the short sleeve tank top type of knitted things, although I love knitting them and they're very pretty. But that's just I think that that's just how it is. Those are the things that I wear the least out of my knitted wardrobe. Okay, a more maybe detailed question in this area. What was your favorite thing that you made in 2023? What item did you wear the most in 2023? And if they are different, why do you think that is? So I have a list. I have a list because I couldn't figure it out. So this one's hard because every new finished object I have, I'm like, this is my new favorite thing. But I will have to say, I think my favorite thing that I have knit this year is my pressed flowers cardigan. Which means it is probably not the item I wore the most in 2023 because I just finished it this week. But it is, I think it's my favorite thing this year. And other things that I think I would call my favorite things I've knit this year are like my Cinnabar shawl, my dad's sweater, and those, though, I think I feel a very strong pull towards them to being my favorite thing I knit is, I think, because I've spun part of that project. Like, I've spun the yarn for the project. And so that just, it feels like an extra, like, love towards the finished object, if that makes sense. And so I think that those might be my favorite things I've knit. But if I'm going to not include things that I've hand spun any amount of yarn for, just because I feel very strongly towards them. So if I just like don't include any of the hand spun things, I think the favorite things that I've made were maybe my birch pullover, my Striya cardigan, and my no sweatshirt. And I will say part of the reason why I would say I liked making them were because I knew I was going to like wearing them. So I would also say that my birch, my Striya, and my no sweatshirt are the items that I probably wore the most this year. Yeah. And if I had to pick one, I think it might have been my birch pullover. I really, really like my birch pullover. It took a very long time kind of to knit. It wasn't terrible, but it did kind of take a while, lots of knitting. But it is so squishy. It feels so soft. Part of it could be because I knit it using the Woolberry non-superwash, which feels really soft, but I love that sweater so much. I love wearing it. So easy to put over, and I don't have to worry about it feeling itchy or anything like that. So that might be the one. Yeah. Okay, really quick, another coffee break. Okay, also, I want to say before I continue with the questions, thank you to the couple of you who put some questions that you wanted me to answer about my year review in the comments, and also my friends who gave me some awesome questions to answer in this video. But yeah, okay, so next one. What was your favorite yarn that you bought in 2023 and haven't used yet? Why haven't you used it yet? What are your plans for it? Okay, this one was kind of a hard one. I had to like actually look at my stash because I think for the most part, if I really like a yarn, I'm going to cast on right away. So, but I think I found a couple that I could talk about. So the one that I'm picking to answer this question with is actually a Explorer Knits Boucle DK in the colorway Chinley. And I say this because I specifically bought this yarn for a specific project that I am so excited for and I just have not cast on yet. And I love Chinley. I have already knit something with it in the Suri base and the Denali sock base. And so now I'm just like, I want to knit the Boucle. So the project I want to knit it with is the Port Sweater by Ozetta. I want to knit the exact same sample that Allie from Explorer Knits has in. Like, she has a port sweater using the Chinley Boucle, and I really like it. So that is why I bought it, and I really want to make the sweater. And the reason I haven't used it yet is because, as you saw, I am working on the Superlative Sweater, which is a Boucle knit, also a Boucle from Explorer Knits, and I would just like to finish this one first before I cast on another Boucle. sweater. So I think the plan potentially is there's other boucle knits I also want to knit, but I think after I finish the Superlative Sweater, I will cast on the Port Sweater with my Chinley boucle. And so that is one, and I do want to just add a second yarn, which is the Coast to Coast yarn. The colorway is, oh, I want to say this just in case it's a spoiler for anyone. I bought the New Year's Day skein from Coast to Coast. I was so tempted in buying the New Year Countdown, but I resisted. But I had to get the New Year's Day skein, and I had to open it early. So I will say the colorway name. I don't think it'll be a giveaway at all, but the colorway is Sprinkle. And I won't be showing it here. I won't describe the colors just in case you are waiting for it, but I love it. And so it might be, yeah, one of my favorite skein. Like, it's gorgeous. Coast to Coast is really pretty. I hope this isn't a spoiler again, but she does pretty speckles, and I love this skein. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I do love that skein. I love that colorway. I'm so happy I got it. Okay, next up, what pattern bought in 2023 but not yet used are you most excited about? When do you think you will knit it, and what yarn will you use? There's a couple, or there's a few, but I will talk about just one specifically because this will probably be a cast on in January. So the pattern that I bought this year is the Yoon Sweater by November Knits. It's spelled E-U-N. And if you follow Woolberry, Bethany from Woolberry at all, you will definitely know what sweater I'm talking about. She basically wants to knit everything into this sweater, and it's very cute. It has a very high split hem, and a very long ribbed kind of hem because of that, but I think it looks really cute. I've been wanting to make it, and I just never cast on. I kind of was just like, I don't have the yarn for it because I think it's on a heavier weight yarn. I buy a lot of fingering weight and DK weight yarn, so I just didn't have sweater quantities, I think, to knit this, but I am planning on knitting this, casting on in January, using Woolberry Natural DK plus the Berry Suri base, both in the colorway Stash, which was from 2023 Woolberry Rewind in January. And so I thought it would be a good way to kind of it was this year's January Rewind and cast on in January of 2024. And I'll finally have my own Yoon sweater. So I'm very excited about that because it's been a long time coming. So yeah, so that is that pattern that I'm looking forward to knitting. Let's see. What project by somebody else do you want your own version of? This one also took me some time to think about, but I thought of two in recent mind that came to mind for this question. So one is Ulysse from Sunday Fiber Co. She finished knitting the Levitate wrap by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and her color choice and how it looks on her, it looks so cute. It was kind of a blushy pink color that she used, and I love a wrap cardigan, and I say I love a wrap cardigan. I just haven't knit that many, and so I really want to knit this. It looks so good on her, and I love the color choice, and so I really want to have my own version of that. And another one is Emily and Maya. For one of their Rhinebeck knits, they made a Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, but in boucle. And I love a Cumulus blouse, and I love it in Suri, and I want one in boucle. I know that I will love it in boucle, and so when they said that they were doing that, I was like, that is such a great idea. And so I do have yarn plans for this Cumulus boucle, and so hopefully that'll happen sometime early next year as well. Yeah. Oh, okay. Next one. What is the oldest yarn that you used this year? This one also took some sleuthing on my part in investigating because I don't really keep track of that. But I think I may have found a good candidate for this. So I think, I could be wrong, but this year, I knit the Brownstone Beanie by Tori Nits NYC. And I used the Woolberry Berry Sock in the colorway October, which I actually bought from La Mercerie online in May 2022. So it doesn't feel like it's that old of a yarn, but again, out of all the things I've knit this year, that might be the oldest yarn in my stash that I use, I think. Yeah. So we're going to go with that. Yeah. Okay, and then, I missed over this question. This probably would have done better near the top of the question list. What were your 2023 Yarny highlights? So there were so many great things that happened this year, but as far as like yarn specifically, I feel like I want to mention basically like the events that I went to this year because they were so fun, and I just can't believe they all happened this year and that I went to them. So number one was the Explore Knits pop-up at La Mercerie. I believe that happened this year in March. It was my first time going to some kind of yarn event, and the fact that it was Explore Knits and and I went with my knitting friends for like the first time, and I still didn't, that might have been the second time I've ever met my friends, like in person, like ever. And so the fact that I was able to go with them made it extra fun. And like, that was when I felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're just like me. I'm just like them. We love the yarn so much that we would wake up so early to go to Bainbridge Island to stand in line in the rain for Explore Knits yarn. And so that was just like, I feel like I was like, this is the start of a great year with some great knitting friends. So that was really fun. Again, with the same knitting friends, went to the Explore Knits summer market. We flew to Denver, Colorado. I've never been to Colorado. And so I know, like, all we did was go there for the Explore Knits thing. We didn't like explore around, which was totally the ideal. Like, I just want to go for the yarn and knit with friends. So that was fine, but it was like the fact that it was a new state to me. And I went with knitting friends for the first time. Got to go to the Explore Knits studio, buy a whole bunch of yarn, and that was so fun as well. And of course, Flock Fiber Festival. The first time that they put it on this year, it was amazing. I met so many great people and bought so much great yarn as well. And it was just such a good time. Yeah, I would say those were definitely like the top yarn highlights or events that happened with yarn this year that made me very happy. And then let's see, was that kind of like it? I think that's all I have in my notes as far as like the review of like how this year went and events and yarn and kind of stuff like that. I don't have, another question was, do you have any 2023 yarny regrets? And I say no, I don't think so. I couldn't think of any, so no regrets, just so much happiness and thankful for all the things that happened this year. And with that, that'll be the end of this podcast episode and the last one of 2023. So I hope that you all are having a great end of the year, and happy holidays to you all. I hope you get to spend it in the way that makes you happy, and I hope you all have a great new year as well. I will see you in 2024. I can't believe it. I will still be posting on my Instagram in between, so I won't have time to make a podcast video, but I will be posting on my Instagram. So if you don't follow me there already and want to, I am at arieknits, same name as this podcast. And yeah, what else do I have to say? I don't know. Please leave a comment down below if you'd like to share what your end of year goals are. Like, we've got a couple more weeks, or just one more week, couple more weeks. If you have goals for 2024, if you also have some 2023 yarn review, year review you'd like to share, I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, I'll see you in 2024. Bye.